Hey guys, what's up and welcome back. Today we're doing a Season 1 Rogue overview. We're here at level 40 and we're basically ready for the Capstone Dungeon, right? So how are we ready for the Capstone Dungeon? Well, at level 40, the priority quest to do World Tier 3 becomes highlighted on the map. And then if I look at our rewards, we have the first 3 tiers of renown for each area by doing the strongholds, getting all the waypoints, and then just doing like enough codex dungeons and upping the altars of Lilith enough to get to the 3rd tier reward. And then on the items, what we're doing, because of the seasonal mechanic of the Malignant Hearts, which socket into jewelry, right? What we did is we basically saved up all of the jewelry that we accumulated, eventually only keeping the rares and legendaries, right? But every single piece of jewelry has one of these colored sockets, either pink, blue, or red, depending on how you see the colors. I think those are the official ones, pink, blue, and red, although blue looks purple. Pink also looks a little purple as well, right? So anyway, what we did is we looked at the hearts that are available in World Tier 2 for the Rogue, and there's only 8 total. So hold on one second. I'm going to pull up my latest version of this Rogue guide that I'm working on. So let me slide this over. Take a look how this looks. I'll zoom in. I think I need to go to like 150 for it to be legible. Let's go even more. Let's go to like 180. Okay, that's basically full screen. So essentially what we did is we looked at the hearts that are available to us in World Tier 2. Out of the 16 hearts that are available for our class, half of them are available before you get into Nightmare, so World Tier 1 or World Tier 2. And then we just kind of eventually keyed on the ones that are Rogue specific. So all the Rogue specific ones look pretty good to me. And basically what I would recommend is you basically just start your character off by making it a priority to get the Rogue specific hearts. So like Trickery I think is really good. The subterfuge skills leaves behind a shadow decoy that taunts. The taunt is huge and it gathers up all of the enemies. So you put that like on your poison trap. All of the enemies walk towards the poison trap, and then you can start doing different things off of that. So to me, it looks like all of the other Rogue hearts synergize with this. And then, you know, what we can do is we can get stuns, taunts, slows, and knockbacks all off of the Malignant Hearts. And then if you look at the Super Heart, damage over time effects are increased by 30 to 40% for each different crowd control effect on a target, right? So you can see how this is obviously synergizing. So if we combo Trickery, Clip Shot, and Creeping Death, we have Taunt on Trap, we have Slow on Cutthroat, and we have Knockback on Marksman. And most builds use Puncture, which is the throwing daggers, and throwing daggers actually counts as Marksman. So this will work on a Twisting Blades build where you're using Puncture and Twisting Blades, or it'll work on any build. You know, you can do all Marksman, but if you mix Marksman and Cutthroat, you get more CC effects that then synergize with your Creeping Death, and then damage over time, you can either choose Poison or Shadow. So basically, it's setting you up for like this really nice synergistic either Poison Trap or Shadow Trap build. So that's basically the notes that I took, where I'm like, okay, the endgame and resource generation hearts seem very endgame related. The barrier generation heart seems like it would benefit the Sork the most. And the Malignant Pack heart is really good. The Super Heart, you can just use this one by itself and then eventually build up your Rogue specific ones. So this one, which is for any class, is really good by itself. The barrier seems really useful. Everything seems really useful on this one. And then the highlighted and red ones are the Rogue specific ones, which have worked out really good. So now let's go back over to our build. So what we're focusing on here is just our 3 pieces of jewelry. We are willing to swap out any piece of equipment as long as it's an upgrade for all of our armor and for our weapons. And then because I had accumulated a lot of weapons, I went with a regular bow and 2 daggers because I want to benefit from the attack speed bonuses. and the raw damage output isn't that important at this stage in the game. And we're mainly attacking with our daggers with this Twisting Blade build. We're actually only attacking with our daggers, but we have a marksman skill in puncture, which is still daggers. So we only upgraded our daggers, right? So only our daggers are upgraded and not even to +4. We're not going to waste any of the advanced crafting mats on these. And then they just happen to be legendaries. We didn't imprint these, and the only things that we imprinted are the jewelry. And on the jewelry, we put the Codex print of Twisting Blades on the amulet. So this goes from, 10 to 15 and 20 to 30 on the low rolls of Twisting Blades. And then on ring, we've got some imbuement synergy. So, we're just focusing on poison, right? And then the trap skill. So the trap skill has a 30% chance to make things vulnerable. So we're just really focused on poison, trap, Twisting Blades. And then the hearts, we've got the one that I think is the most important, which is the Brutal Heart for the subterfuge skill, so aka Poison Trap. Makes the Shadow Decoy taunts, and then the explosion is really big. So the Poison Trap synergy is crazy. You leave a Poison Trap, a Shadow Decoy appears, it taunts everything, everything comes into the Poison Trap, everything gets tripped up, everything is getting poisoned, it's getting more poison, plus your clone explodes for 2,000 damage. That's really good. And then this heart, the Devious Heart, is just extra synergy for CCs. So the Cutthroat skill can slow, and the Marksman skill can knock back. And then the Wrathful Heart benefits from all of the CC effects that are on a target. So dot effects increase by 37.5%, which is a decent roll. And then on bosses, we get 127% increased damage over time. And the way we spec this, with all the different CCs that we apply through our skills, the stagger bar on the bosses fill up really quick. So we can get the benefit from this as well. And then specialization, we're just doing combo points with this build, but we can do either combo points or inner sight with the poison version. And then with the shadow version, we can consider preparation, because the shadow trap is an ultimate, so preparation can reduce the cooldown of the ultimate. And then the ultimate skill resets the cooldown of other skills. So if we're playing shadow, we do preparation. If we're playing poison, we can do combo points or inner sight. And then in the skill tree, we're just doing puncture. And then importantly, with the modification that gives it the ability to apply vulnerable. And then Twisting Blades. And then what does this thing do? We're just applying all the crowd control effects we can get. So Twisting Blades dazes. Shadow Step does the stun. And then Dash does slow or dazed. So everything basically has crowd control effects. The Poison Trap has knockback in it, right? So this one is the knockdown portion for Poison Trap. And then this one is more poison damage, but then this is probably better. I think this is probably better. The 30% chance to reset the imbuement, which is poison imbuement. And then we just have the lucky hit chance on poison imbuement, or we can do the critical. I don't know which one is better. We're taking all of the different poison ones. So like increased poison damage, less damage dealt from enemies that are poisoned, attack speed for enemies that are poisoned. And then we've got the trap thing, 12% critical strike chance against vulnerable and CC'd enemies, right? And then we've got the thing that increases energy generation, the thing that increases energy, movement speed and attack speed based on the energy amount that you have, the thing that does damage to healthy and injured, the thing that does extra damage to vulnerable, right? If we're mixing in our punctures and Twisting Blades, the single target that we're hitting with puncture is basically always vulnerable. We're just taking the damage stuff that we've identified, and then, because it's early game, we're pumping up puncture, but, you can distribute. You don't have to pump the basic skill. You can distribute that elsewhere. But this is pretty basic. I mean, it's basically just basic skill, core skill. Most people seem to be taking puncture. You can take any core skill you want. Some builds let you mix two core skills, so like people are playing Flurry and Rapid Fire together. That's cool. You either take one or two agility skills. I don't see anyone using caltrops, but both Shadow Step and Dash are good. And then I see people taking Concealment and Dark Shroud. Both of those are good. And then you can play with any combination of imbuements. So, like, you can play 2 imbuements with the Poison Trap, or you can play Shadow Trap and Shadow Imbuement, or you can play Poison Trap and Poison Imbuement, or you can play Poison Trap and, like, Cold and Poison. So it's basically core skill, basic skill, movement abilities, and then how much extra defense do you need? Do you need the extra defense from Dark Shroud or Concealment? Or can you just go with traps and imbuements? And then what's combination are you doing? Are you going to drop an agility skill to get an extra imbuement skill, right? That's basically the kind of considerations that you're making. But I fully expect going into World Tier 3 that we're basically going to do the same thing, which is looking at the World Tier 3 available Malignant Hearts, quickly try and build the best combination of 3 hearts, focus on imprinting the jewelry specifically, and then try and keep the rest of the stuff as upgraded as possible from a item power perspective, and build that suit of sacred before we start imprinting everything, right? So what would be amazing is if we can just use the 3 pieces of jewelry to build our suit of sacred before we worry about imprinting it. And that way we can accumulate all of our materials, and it would speed up the process of building our sacred suit. And then in the stash, I just emptied out all of my lesser item power jewelry. So I'm now in the item power tier breakpoints for breakpoint 4. So I'm getting rid of anything that's under 460 item power. So I'm just going to convert all these extra pieces of jewelry into gold. And I've kept the few pieces that are above 460 item power. So I've kept the jewelry that's above 460 item power. I've kept all my legendary aspects that I can extract, right? Anything that was imprinted, that was low item power, I got rid of that and salvaged that. But now with all this jewelry, I'm just going to trade this in for gold. So yeah, that's basically how we get to World Tier 3 and get to the Capstone Dungeon. And now that my rogue is done, I'm going to switch and focus on leveling up a Sorc. And then I want to grind World Tier 3 and World Tier 4 with the Sorc and the rogue together. So that's basically the plan for the start of the season. Hope you guys enjoyed this content, and thanks so much for watching.